You're tuned into Auto Intelligence, live from Auto Trader, where data, tools, and your preferences sync to make your car shopping smooth.
They're searching inventory.
Oh, yeah.
They find what you need.
They're gonna find
You
it.
can make a budget for your wallet to help you succeed. Pricing's precise and true.
So true.
It's smarter car shopping.
Ooh.
Just for you.
Oh, it's just for you.
Ooh.
Find your next ride at Autotrader.com. Powered by Auto Intelligence.
Before we get into today's story, I want you to do one thing for me. Drop a comment down below and tell me where you're listening from right now. Story 2. The Thing in the Ravine. I've been debating whether or not to tell this story for years. It's not the kind of thing people usually believe unless they've experienced something similar themselves. But every time I go hiking or someone mentions camping, my mind flashes back to that one weekend in the summer of 2016, deep in the mountains of Colorado. There were 5 of us, me, my cousin Dan, his girlfriend Rachel, and 2 other friends, Mike and Trevor. We were all in our mid-20s, and back then, the thrill of going off the grid for a few days felt like a badge of honor. No phones, no service, no safety nets. Just us, the trees, and the stars. Dan had found a trail online that supposedly led to an old logging camp abandoned in the 70s. Nobody really used the area anymore, which made it perfect for camping, cheap thrills, lots of privacy, and the chance to say we'd camp somewhere. Haunted. That word made us laugh at the time. The first night went like any camping trip. We set up tents, lit a fire, passed around a bottle, and shared ghost stories. Nothing out of the ordinary, except that sometime past midnight we all heard a scream. It wasn't close, but it wasn't far either. A high-pitched wail that echoed through the valley, then cut off like someone had slapped a hand over their own mouth. We froze. Nobody wanted to admit it freaked them out, so we laughed nervously and blamed it on an animal. But deep down, I think we all knew it hadn't sounded like any animal we'd ever heard. The next day we explored the area. About half a mile from our camp, we stumbled onto a ravine, a steep, wooded drop with a dry creek bed running through it. On the opposite side of the ravine, pinned between 2 trees, we saw something strange. It looked like fabric. A torn piece of flannel shirt, maybe. Dan wanted to climb down and check it out, but Rachel refused. She said it felt wrong, like someone wanted us to find it. That night around the fire, we argued about it. Mike thought some drifter might be living out there. Trevor said maybe it was nothing, just old trash. But I couldn't shake the thought of that scream, and the way that piece of fabric seemed almost placed there, in plain sight. That night, things escalated. Around 3 a.m., Rachel shook me awake. Her face was pale, eyes wide. "There's something outside the tent," she whispered. I listened. At first, nothing. Then, the crunch of footsteps, slow and deliberate, circling our camp. Mike hissed from the other tent, "Who the hell is out there?" The footsteps stopped. For a moment, the woods were silent. Then, from the darkness, came a sound I'll never forget. A voice. Low, raspy, and broken. It said, "Help me." We all froze. Nobody moved. Nobody answered. Then it came again, closer this time, but the tone was wrong, like someone who knew how to speak but didn't understand emotion. Like a bad impression of a human voice. "Help me," Dan finally snapped. He unzipped the tent, flashlight in one hand, knife in the other. He shined the beam into the trees. Nothing. But the voice came again, this time from the opposite side of the camp. "Help me." The blood drained from my face. Whatever it was moving faster than anything human should have been able to. We sat in terrified silence until dawn. None of us slept. By morning, we'd had enough. We decided to pack up and hike back to the car. But as we approached the ravine again, we stopped dead in our tracks. The torn piece of flannel was gone. In its place, nailed into the tree, was something else. A deer's head. Rotting, crawling with flies, its eyes wide and glassy. None of us said a word. We just kept moving. But the forest wasn't done with us. As we hiked back, Trevor kept looking over his shoulder. Finally, he muttered, "It's following us." We all turned, and sure enough, about 50 feet back, between the trees, was a figure. Tall. Thin. Dressed in rags. Its skin was pale, too pale, and its head tilted at an unnatural angle, like it couldn't quite figure out how to balance. And then, in broad daylight, it said the words again. "Help me." That was it. We ran. We didn't stop for water, didn't stop to rest, didn't stop to breathe until we saw the parking lot. When we finally reached the car, we piled in and sped off down the dirt road. Nobody spoke until we hit the highway. We tried to rationalize it later. Maybe it was some lunatic living in the woods. Maybe we hallucinated from lack of sleep. But deep down, I know what I saw. Because 2 weeks later, back home in Denver, I found something on my porch. A torn piece of flannel. The same color, the same pattern. Pinned under a rock. And scribbled in dirt beside it, in uneven letters, were 2 words. "Help me." I moved out a month later. But every time I close my eyes, I hear that broken voice in the trees. "Help me." I love seeing how far these stories travel. And while you're there, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next terrifying tale. Alright, let's get into it. I've been an outdoors person for most of my life. Growing up in Oregon, camping trips were almost a ritual, something my dad started when I was a kid, and something I carried into adulthood with my own group of friends. But what happened 3 summers ago changed the way I look at the woods forever. Even now, I don't like talking about it, but maybe writing it out will help. Maybe someone will believe me. It started as a normal trip. 4 of us, me, my girlfriend at the time, Lena, and 2 of my closest buddies, Josh and Eric, planned a weekend getaway to the Umpqua National Forest. It was supposed to be just 3 days of hiking, fishing, and drinking beer by the fire. Nothing crazy, nothing out of the ordinary. We picked a trail that wasn't very popular, because Eric had this idea that the less traveled the trail, the better the story later. At the time, that sounded like the kind of stupid motto we'd laugh about around the fire. When we arrived Friday afternoon,
You're tuned into Auto Intelligence, live from Auto Trader, where data, tools, and your preferences sync to make your car shopping smooth.
They're searching inventory.
Oh, yeah.
They find what you need.
They gon' find
and
it.
you can make a budget for your wallet to help you succeed. Pricing's precise and true.
So true.
It's smarter car shopping.
Ooh.
Just for you.
Oh, it's just for you. Find your next ride at Autotrader.com. Powered by Auto Intelligence.
everything felt normal. The sun was warm, the air smelled like pine, and the woods were alive with that usual mixture of bird calls and rustling leaves. We parked near a dirt road, hiked about 2 miles in, and found a clearing just off the trail to set up camp. By sunset, we had the tent pitched, a fire going, and beers cracked open. The first night went smoothly. We ate, joked, and watched the fire burn down. I remember thinking it was perfect, peaceful, far away from the stress of work. But sometime in the middle of the night, I woke up to a sound. It was faint, but clear, footsteps. Crunching on the forest floor outside our tent. I froze. My first thought was, bear, but the steps were too even, too careful. Human. I nudged Lena awake and whispered, "Do you hear that?" She was groggy but nodded. The steps circled the tent once, then stopped. After maybe 30 seconds, I unzipped the flap just a little and shined my flashlight out. Nothing. Just trees, shadows, and silence. We tried to brush it off the next morning, telling ourselves maybe it was an animal after all. But the weirdness didn't stop. The next day, we went deeper into the trail to do some fishing. The forest felt different, heavier somehow. The air was cooler, though the sun was out, and every so often, one of us would think we heard someone else moving parallel to us in the trees. Whenever we stopped, it stopped. Eric joked about it being forest spirits, but none of us laughed much. By late afternoon, we headed back to camp. That's when we noticed something that made my stomach drop. Our camp had been disturbed. The cooler was tipped over, and 2 of our chairs had been moved. Not knocked down, moved neatly, like someone had sat in them facing the fire pit. Even worse, the firewood we'd stacked was now arranged in a strange shape, almost like a triangle pointing toward the forest. Josh got mad and started yelling, thinking maybe some other campers were screwing with us. But we hadn't seen a single soul since we parked the car. The trail was too remote. We tried to shake it off, but as night came, tension settled in. Every snap of a twig outside the tent made us jump. At one point, Lena swore she saw someone standing between the trees, but when I shined my flashlight, nothing was there. We barely slept that night. The plan was to pack up and leave early, but when we woke up, something made me stop in my tracks. Just outside the tent, in the dirt, were bare footprints. Dozens of them, circling our campsite. They weren't from us. These were larger, wider, and the toes dug deep like whoever it was had been standing there for hours, watching. We packed fast. None of us talked much. The mood was too heavy. But the forest didn't want to let us go. About a mile down the trail, Josh stopped. "Do you guys hear that?" It was faint, but I heard it too, a whistle. A slow, steady whistle, coming from behind us. The same tune, over and over. It wasn't cheerful. It was low, deliberate, almost mocking. We picked up the pace. The whistle followed. By the time we reached the car, we were sprinting. We threw our gear in without caring how it landed and floored it down the dirt road. Only when we hit the highway did we finally breathe. I thought that was the end, but 2 nights later, back at home, something happened.
You're tuned into Auto Intelligence, live from Auto Trader, where data, tools, and your preferences sync to make your car shopping smooth.
They're searching inventory.
Oh, yeah.
They find what you need.
They're gonna find
and
it.
You can make a budget for your wallet to help you succeed. Pricing's precise and true.
So true.
It's smarter car shopping.
Ooh.
Just for you.
Oh, it's just for you. Find your next ride at Autotrader.com. Powered by Auto Intelligence.
That still makes me shiver. Around 2 a.m., I woke up to that same whistle. Soft, steady, just outside my bedroom window. I didn't look. I couldn't. I lay frozen until it stopped. Since then, I've moved twice. Different cities, different jobs, different everything. But every so often, when I'm walking alone at night, or when the wind cuts just right through the trees, I swear I hear it again. And every time, I remember those bare footprints circling our camp. Story first. The Silent Campground. It was late September, the kind of evening where the air carried a sharp chill, and the trees were already shedding their leaves like whispers of death. 4 college friends, Emily, Jake, Chris, and Lauren, decided to spend the weekend camping in Silver Pine National Forest, a place known for its endless trails and quiet, isolated campsites. They wanted a break from the noise of city life, a night under the stars, just them, the fire, and the woods. What they didn't know was that Silver Pine had another reputation. Locals whispered about people going missing, about strange sounds that echoed through the trees after midnight. But the four friends didn't believe in ghost stories. When they arrived, the campground seemed abandoned. The ranger's cabin at the entrance was locked, its windows covered in dust. There were no cars, no other campers, not even the distant sound of hikers. Just silence. They joked about it. "Guess we've got the whole forest to ourselves." But Emily noticed something odd. Each campsite they passed was perfectly clean. Fire pits had ashes as if they'd been used recently, but no tents, no footprints, no trash. Almost like whoever had been there disappeared suddenly. Still, they set up camp near the river. The sound of running water was comforting, drowning out the unnatural silence. They lit a fire, roasted marshmallows, and tried telling scary stories. Around midnight, as the flames died down, Chris froze. "Sure, do you hear that?" The others went quiet. At first, there was nothing. Then, from deep in the forest, came the faint sound of a whistle. Just 3 notes. Low, high, low. It didn't sound like a bird. It sounded intentional. "Probably another camper messing around," Jake said, though everyone knew there were no other campers. They laughed it off, climbed into their tents, and tried to sleep. But Emily swore she heard footsteps circling their camp sometime before dawn. The next morning, Lauren went to fetch water from the river. She screamed. Floating at the riverbank was a backpack. Muddy, torn, but clearly fresh. Inside were clothes, a phone with a shattered screen, and a notebook. The last page of the notebook had shaky handwriting. "If you hear the whistle, don't follow it. Don't answer. Don't look." Their laughter from the night before suddenly felt stupid. That evening, they argued about leaving. Jake wanted to stay. "We're overreacting. Somebody lost their bag, that's it." But Emily begged them to pack up. In the end, they decided one more night wouldn't hurt. They regretted it. At 1:17 a.m., the whistle came again. This time, closer. Low. High. Low. Then, from the other side of the camp, another whistle answered. The group sat frozen in their tents, holding their breath. Minutes passed. Then came the sound of mimicking voices. "Emily," a voice whispered outside. "Chris," another called softly. It was their own names. But the voices didn't sound human. They were warped, stretched, like something trying too hard to sound real. Jake, frustrated and terrified, grabbed a flashlight and stormed out. "Enough! Who's out there?" The beam of light swung across the trees. Nothing. Just shadows. Then the whistle. Right behind him. The others screamed as Jake dropped the flashlight. By the time they grabbed it, Jake was gone. No sound. No trace. Just gone. They didn't sleep. They huddled together in one tent, praying for sunrise. But around 3 a.m., Emily peeked through the flap. Across the extinguished fire pit stood Jake. Or something that looked like Jake. He was smiling too wide, eyes completely black, head tilted unnaturally far to one side. His lips moved, but the voice that came out was a broken whistle. Low. High. Low. By morning, only one tent remained zipped shut. Rangers found it days later, torn apart from the inside. No bodies were ever recovered. Just a single page from the notebook, pinned to the dirt with a sharpened stick. It read, "They don't want you to camp here. They want you to stay forever." So, if you ever go camping in Silver Pine National Forest, and you hear a whistle in the dark, don't answer it. Don't even listen. Because it may not be a person calling you. It may be something that never lets you leave. And that's the end of today's story. Tell me, where are you listening from? Drop it in the comments below, I'd love to know. And if you enjoyed this, make sure to hit subscribe, because more dark and disturbing stories are coming soon. Until then, keep your lights on.
You're tuned into Auto Intelligence, live from Auto Trader, where data, tools, and your preferences sync to make your car shopping smooth.
They're searching inventory.
Oh, yeah.
They find what you need.
They're gonna find
You
it.
can make a budget for your wallet to help you succeed. Pricing's precise and true.
So true.
It's smarter car shopping.
Ooh.
Just for you.
Oh, it's just for you. Find your next ride at Autotrader.com. Powered by Auto Intelligence.